Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name is Ron Tyler. We are the president and CEO of Emergency Management Associates. This broadcast is coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our program today. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of information to give you. I'm going to start off with a broadcast from News 8 in San Diego, giving you the latest information on what is going on with Hurricane, now Tropical Storm Hillery. Folks, it's going to be an unbelievable thing. Hillery has impacted the coast, okay? Wind gusts peak 30 to 40 mile per hour with gusts of 55. Rainfall 2 to 4 inches and higher amounts possible inland. Coastal flooding concerns, high surf 3 to 5 feet high, tides up to 4 to 5 feet high. We're going to continue talking about this throughout this broadcast. Stay tuned, guys. Here is News 8 from San Diego. Sorry about that. I don't know how that quite happened. Hold on a second, I'll fix this yet. I honestly don't know how that happened. That is one of the weirdest things that I've ever had happen to me. Hold on a second, we'll bring it to you in just to have a shake. Here it is right here.
We have 7,500 now personnel dedicated in Southern California, close to 4,000 CHP, 2,000 Caltrans workers, mutual aid, all across the region, making sure that people are safe and making sure people are vigilant.
Governor Gavin Newsom declaring a state of emergency for most of Southern California as the region is bracing for an historic storm.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, it is Sunday morning. Time now is 8:30 in the morning, and you are watching a CBS 8 News special report. We are here for you to make sure that everyone's safe through this storm. We do want to begin with a live look right now at the radar, and it looks like we've been watching this kind of come through. People waking up to the sound of rainfall this morning.
And Hillery has just been downgraded, Evan, from a hurricane to a tropical storm officially, but wow, lots of green on that map there.
Oh, still plenty of rain and wind that's going to be coming through our county as we head through the next several hours. So let's start off with that live radar. You can see how there's a lot of green on the screen. Now keep in mind, these are mainly the lighter outer bands. If you've been outside so far today, we haven't really picked up on a ton of accumulating rain thus far because you don't really see much of the yellow or orange or even red coming through on the screen. Those are going to be areas of more intense rainfall that we are expected to see. A little bit of a wider picture shows you where those bands are. To the south of us, just to the southeast of Ensenada. So we're going to watch as this storm continues to move north. As you heard Eric say, it is now officially Tropical Storm Hillery, no longer a hurricane. So as Hillery was once a Category 4 hurricane, she continued to travel north with that northerly trajectory. She encountered much cooler ocean water. Keep in mind, the ocean water down several hundred miles to the south of us is closer to 90 degrees. That's the fuel that this storm needs. As it made its way north, it encountered closer to 70-degree ocean temperatures. At least that's what it'll be seeing by the time it gets towards San Diego. So as it moves north, it downgrades and deteriorates, and that's what we've been seeing progressively. Yesterday afternoon, this was still a Category 3 storm, then downgraded to a 2, then a 1 closer to about 8 p.m. last night, and now a tropical storm. Sustained winds around the eye wall of 70 miles per hour. It's moving at about 25 miles per hour, which is a pretty decent speed of it. And then we've got it right now, 220 miles south-southeast of San Diego. All right, so let's zoom in on its path. Right south of Ensenada as we speak. It's going to keep moving north from here. There's a chance that we see landfall closer to the Ensenada area. We still are expecting that the first U.S. city that this tropical storm will touch will be San Diego. Tropical storm status still holds at 5 p.m. That's closer to when we expect landfall to be, but as you can see, it's just to the north of us around that time. So that means that in this stretch, we could start seeing our more intense winds and rain closer to about 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, this is a front-loaded storm, meaning that the bulk of the rain and wind is going to be before this storm makes landfall. And that's why we're putting it as early as about 11 a.m. as the time that we'll start to see our most intense wind and rain come through. Live look at Otay Mountain. We're facing west. We've got overcast skies, and that's been the case for the majority of the morning. All right, let's summarize what we've got on hand. Rain and wind continue to increase in intensity throughout the day. Mountains and deserts have the highest concern of flash flooding because they have the heaviest accumulations of rain expected. For the coastline and inland, wind is probably going to be a bigger concern than the rain. We do expect still plenty of rain on hand, but wind is going to be a huge concern for the coastline. Expected to make landfall today in the afternoon hours as a tropical storm. So we'll continue to bring you the latest, but Eric and Netta have more on what's going on across the county.
We do have reporters, photographers, staff spread out all over the county right now to give you the best look of what's happening here as Tropical Storm Hillery is approaching.
Yeah, we want to make sure you're covered so you know what's happening in your neighborhood. Of course, Evan has been tracking this so closely, and the rain, as he forecast, has arrived here this morning. Let's send it over now to Dana Marie McNichol. Dana Marie, first of all, where are you? What's it like out there?
Well, good morning, Eric, Netta, and Evan, working hard in the studio. We are out here in San Ysidro, right at the border crossing, giving you a perspective, your eyes and ears this morning of what is going on. Now, I do first want to start what I'm feeling. The raindrops, they are light, nothing too intense. Something very similar to what we experienced in the months of February and March here in San Diego. The roads, of course, wet. We don't seem to see too much flooding in this area. The freeways, again, a lot of people are not on the road this morning. They've been heeding the warnings. There has, of course, been warnings over the past couple of days, especially stay off the roads south of the border. And it really seems though people have listened, because on an average Sunday at this time, the wait is over an hour to cross the border by car. But right now it's about a 5-minute wait. The pedestrian crossing also 5 minutes, so not a lot of people in this area. Again, it's very quiet. We're not seeing a lot of people going into Mexico, of course. That's even where the storm could be even more intense before it enters this area, hitting Ensenada, hitting areas of Tijuana first before San Diego. So, of course, we're your eyes and ears. We're going to be live here all morning long. But, you know, I could even take my hood off, and it doesn't really seem to be too windy as well. As you can see, my hair's not really moving too much. If you have an area that you want us to take a look at in the San Ysidro area, please just let us know. Of course, again, we're your eyes and ears out here as the storm continues to intensify as we get into the later hours of the morning, as Evan mentioned, at 11 a.m. Again, those border wait times crossing and as a car, only 5 minutes right now.
Dana Marie, thank you for that. Yeah, so the tropical storm now, Hillery, is this, when it does hit our state here, Southern California, will be the first tropical storm we've had hit our county in 84 years. So yes, this is a historic storm.
Right, certainly because of the warnings that we've seen. Of course, tropical storm warning in effect for San Diego, which has never had to be issued for us here before by the National Hurricane Center. So already making history in many ways. And of course, it's been, you know, going just off the coast of Mexico, off of Baja, for at least 24 hours now, causing impacts further south. But as it works its way up north, we're going to get that rain as we've been seeing this morning, and it will pick up a little bit. So we do want to get you covered here throughout many regions. CBS 8's Regina Yurita is joining us live now in Chula Vista. And I know some of our crews that live out there came to the station from out there. Regina, saw the heavy rainfall. What's it like right now?
Yeah, well, guys, I can tell you right now, we're definitely experiencing different types of rain, right? Right now, it's pretty calm, but just a couple seconds ago, there was a large downpour right now, and so people are coming over here to a location where Chula Vista had, it was behind the City Works public facility, so people could pick up free sandbags. But, you know, you can see right now it's completely empty because, yes, update is still that they ran out of sandbags. There's hardly anything, so people are coming over here. They're actually asking us, do you know where the nearest location that the city has put out for us to get to pick up free sandbags? And right now we're trying to let them know that Chula Vista doesn't have an update. There are other locations and other areas to pick them up. I asked them if there were.
Yes, our crews are battling the weather out there as well, and so is our equipment. Right. So yeah, definitely wet where she is at right here. We do have a live look for you right now at Imperial Beach. Why don't we show that to our viewers here? We are expecting some strong surf, and you can see those waves.
Imperial Beach is just south of Chula Vista.
Already increasing in size here by the pier dramatically.
Yeah, looking at what the Weather Service was issuing, of course, there's so many warnings all across our region, but a high surf advisory is part of.
During tropical storms in the past, I have seen the waves reach up and over that pier.
Is that a surfer in the water?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
this
a
is
couple
not
people out there.
Suggested to head out there and take advantage of these high waves here. It can just get too dangerous too quickly out there. We do know that 7,500 emergency officials have been deployed across the state because the state is worried about the flash flooding, the mudslides, even isolated tornadoes that could happen from this, the high winds, and of course the widespread power outages are a major concern. Be sure to get our CBS 8 app, download that right now for the latest information as well. But I just took a look at the SDG&E power outage map. Nothing so far, so that's great to see. We're keeping a close eye on that. We're hoping that we don't see these power outages here in our county.
And we've been letting people know to have your phones fully charged just in case, because we will of course have all the updates on your app on your phone. That way you can get the latest. I mean, all the advisories, things like that, and the impacts of the rain.
It wasn't that long ago.
The day.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. 48 hours ago, this was a Category 4 hurricane, Evan, and here we are already now a tropical storm before it makes landfall in San Diego.
When I came in yesterday, it was a Category 3. That was closer to yesterday afternoon. It was downgraded to a Category 2 around 1 p.m. yesterday. Category 1 by the time we got to about 8 p.m. and now a tropical storm as of just about.
If we could talk about too, we just saw the live look of Imperial Beach, the ocean. Our ocean, it's a lot colder than what it is further south.
So. And that's exactly why this storm is breaking apart. I mean, when you're looking at where it once was as a Category 4 storm, ocean water temperatures were closer to 90 degrees. As you may know, if you've been in the ocean anytime recently, our ocean water is not anywhere near 90 degrees. We're closer to 70 degrees. So with that deteriorating storm, it's deteriorating because we are seeing that cooler ocean water. Still, nonetheless, we're watching as a hurricane warning remains in effect, tropical storm warning for us in San Diego. So there's quite a difference on hand versus if you are in Baja versus if you are in San Diego. We're still expecting this storm to bring quite a bit of rain and wind our way. It's important to be prepared for it. We, of course, then can celebrate on the back end if we don't get as much rain as we expected or as much wind as we expected, and you were still prepared. You had a full tank of gas, you had non-perishables, you had an emergency preparedness kit. These are all things that we're not going to apologize to you for having you prepared, because it's better to be prepared or over-prepared than to be under-prepared.
We've been talking about this for a very, very long time. We've asked people to write emergency plans. If they ask you to evacuate, whether you're here in San Diego, you're in Los Angeles, you're in Corona, you're out in the area of Baldwin Hills or Moore Park to the north, or anywhere, Victorville, if they ask you to bug out, you can no longer stay where you're at. If they tell you to leave, what plan do you have? We've been talking about emergency preparedness plans for a very long time. Where are you going to go if they tell you you must leave? Where? What are you going to do? You need to have a plan. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit. We've talked about that also. Not just food, but clothing, personal items, your insurance paperwork. Yes, your car insurance, your house or renter's insurance, your medical status information, everything. You need to have things that you're going to count on in the coming days. This may last for probably 2 or 3 days, at least to midweek. Okay? These storms are going to last for quite a while. This is not over. Just because it comes ashore this afternoon, in fact, frankly, it is coming ashore right now in San Diego. It is 11:15 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. So this hurricane / tropical storm, yes, it's been downgraded. It has come ashore in the United States, in San Diego right now, if everything is going according to what they have planned. You need to have a preparedness kit. You need to have an emergency preparedness plan. You need to have water. You need to have at least 1 to 3 gallons of water per person per day. Okay? That's what he's talking about here. This is absolutely necessary for you.
And that's what we were worried about as the storm was approaching as a Category 4. The whole time we expected it to deteriorate to a tropical storm and make landfall as a tropical storm. And that's still what we are on track to see. Watches, warnings, advisories extend from Southern California all the way up through Nevada. We also see a good portion of western Arizona covered in those. Yellow on the screen showing a wind advisory. We also see in the green, which is overlaid below all of the yellow and the red. So everywhere we see yellow and red is also under the green being a flood watch. Now, when we see the flood watch in play, what that essentially says is that the ingredients are coming together for the possibility of a flood. It does not mean that a flood is actively happening. It also does not mean that there is any flash flooding that we have on hand. National Weather Service would issue a separate flash flood advisory if that were to take shape.
Okay, that's what he's saying. Everybody needs to understand what is going on. That's why we're giving you this information. Now, Carolyn Martin also put a comment here in the chat. I want to second that wholeheartedly. She says bug out early before the highways are clogged and useless. If it looks to you like there's going to be an evacuation order issued, get out yourself before it becomes an issue. Get out right then and there. Don't wait to be forced out of your home or place of residence. Get out before the highways become clogged, before the highways become dangerous, and you're not able to leave where you're at because the highways are totally clogged and they're not available to you. You need to be understanding of what is happening. Bug out earlier before the highways are clogged and useless.
So we're watching as the National Weather Service clues us in on these storms and these separate cells that are coming through. Some of them packing a bit more intensity than others. Tropical storm warning is in play, flood watch, high wind warning that we see as well. All right, let's time the storm out for you from here through the rest of the day. It's 8 a.m., 8:40 or so, right? And we're watching as some stronger bands begin to move north. We'll watch as Borrego Springs, Ocotillo Wells, and our mountaintops in particular start to see those stronger bands come through, orange and red, and then we'll see even along the coast some stronger bands too. This is going to continue to intensify between now and about 5 p.m. or so. 2 p.m., right where we see the bulk of this rain coming through. Notice a hefty amount of it, thankfully, is off on the Pacific, so not making its way to San Diego, but we're still looking at those outer bands and expecting some severe thunderstorms embedded in this, some very strong and gusty winds, and this storm will then keep traveling north. Now, on the back end of this storm, we're not completely out of the woods. We still have a good chance of some embedded thunderstorms here. You see orange popping up.
Okay, those embedded thunderstorms can cause tornadoes. They can cause high, powerful winds, upwards of 50 miles per hour, and they could put out tornadoes. Those outer bands of the hurricane, the outer bands of the tropical storm, are sometimes the most dangerous areas to be in.
On the screen, especially over the mountaintops, that will continue all the way through 9, 10, 11 p.m. And then we see nearly dry weather going into tomorrow morning. Because this storm is now moving so much faster than it originally was, we are expecting it to be completely out of our hair by the time we get into Monday afternoon. And in some cases, it looks like Monday morning could even be that trajectory. I want to focus in on wind gusts in particular after we show this. So 1.5 to 3 inches in total across the coast and inland, 5 to 7 inches across the mountains, 3 to 4 for the deserts. These are still our forecast totals that we are looking at. As far as your wind speeds go and wind gusts, right now it is breeziest over the mountains. We'll see that wind start to spread west, and that's where the coastline and inland we're looking at gusts climbing to the 30 and 40 mile per hour range at times as the storm starts to head our way. So there will be those brief bouts of stronger, gustier winds that we're going to encounter. And that's what we're focused in on along the coast and inland versus flash flooding as the primary concern for the eastern slopes of the mountains as well as the deserts. That's where we're going to be clued into the possibility of flash flooding with just how fast that rain could be coming down.
Declaring a state of
This is important, guys. I've been trying to make sure that you have this information all day long. I've been monitoring the conditions, and I've wanted to make sure that you were protected. Isaiah's granny just put something in the chat that everybody needs to be aware of. She says we have warnings for tornadoes all the way up to Las Vegas. All the way up to Las Vegas. This is very important information.
Because we are seeing that cooler ocean water. Still, nonetheless, we're watching as a hurricane warning remains in effect, tropical storm warning for us in San Diego. So there's quite a difference on hand versus if you are in Baja versus if you are in San Diego. We're still expecting this storm to bring quite a bit of rain and wind our way. It's important to be prepared for it. We, of course, then can celebrate on the back end if we don't get as much rain as we expected or as much wind as we expected, and you were still prepared. You had a full tank of gas, you had non-perishables, you had an emergency preparedness kit. These are all things that we're not going to apologize to you for having you prepared, because it's better to be prepared or over-prepared than to be under-prepared. And that's what we were worried about as the storm was approaching as a Category 4. The whole time we expected it to deteriorate to a tropical storm and make landfall as a tropical storm, and that's still what we are on track to see. Watches, warnings, advisories extend from Southern California all the way up through Nevada. We also see a good portion of western Arizona covered in those. Yellow on the screen showing a wind advisory. We also see in the green, which is overlaid below all of the yellow and the red. So everywhere we see yellow and red is also under the green being a flood watch. Now, when we see the flood watch in play, what that essentially says is that the ingredients are coming together for the possibility of a flood. It does not mean that a flood is actively happening. It also does not mean that there is any flash flooding that we have on hand. National Weather Service would issue a separate flash flood advisory if that were to take shape. So we're watching as the National Weather Service clues us in on these storms and these separate cells that are coming through. Some of them packing a bit more intensity than others. Tropical storm warning is in play, flood watch, high wind warning that we see as well. All right, let's time the storm out for you from here through the rest of the day. It's 8 a.m., 8:40 or so, right? And we're watching as some stronger bands begin to move north. We'll watch as Borrego Springs, Ocotillo Wells, and our mountaintops in particular start to see those stronger bands come through, orange and red, and then we'll see even along the coast some stronger bands too. This is going to continue to intensify between now and about 5 p.m. or so. 2 p.m., right where we see the bulk of this rain coming through. Notice a hefty amount of it thankfully, is off on the Pacific, so not making its way to San Diego. But we're still looking at those outer bands and expecting some severe thunderstorms embedded in this, some very strong and gusty winds, and this storm will then keep traveling north. Now, on the back end of this storm, we're not completely out of the woods. We still have a good chance of some embedded thunderstorms here. You see orange popping up on the screen, especially over the mountaintops. That will continue all the way through 9, 10, 11 p.m. And then we see nearly dry weather going into tomorrow morning. Because this storm is now moving so much faster than it originally was, we are expecting it to be completely out of our hair by the time we get into Monday afternoon. And in some cases, it looks like Monday morning could even be that trajectory. I want to focus in on wind gusts in particular after we show this. So 1.5 to 3 inches in total across the coast and inland, 5 to 7 inches across the mountains, 3 to 4 for the deserts. These are still our forecast totals that we are looking at. As far as your wind speeds go and wind gusts, right now it is breeziest over the mountains. We'll see that wind start to spread west, and that's where the coastline and inland we're looking at gusts climbing to the 30 and 40 mile per hour range at times as the storm starts to head our way. So there will be those brief bouts of stronger, gustier winds that we're going to encounter. And that's what we're focused in on along the coast and inland versus flash flooding as the primary concern for the eastern slopes of the mountains as well as the deserts. That's where we're going to be clued into the possibility of flash flooding with just how fast that rain could be coming down.
Okay. Guys, I
You've heard
started
our
off
jingle.
that
We
because
know
I
how.
thought it was very
We
important.
also know why. After 40 years,
Okay.
you
Hold
continue
on
to
a
trust
second.
us. Quality and service matter.
If you need a new air conditioner,
Okay, we're going to leave that. I started off with San Diego because I felt like it was absolutely necessary because that is where the storm is coming ashore in the United States. The storm actually came ashore back in Ensenada, about 100 miles south of San Diego. It's coming into the United States in San Diego. That's where we're talking about. Yes, we have a lot of people that we love and care about in Tijuana. We do. Those people are getting the same brunt of the storm right now that San Diego is. Now, I also brought up the Fox News weather report. I felt that it was absolutely necessary that we painted the huge picture, the overall picture, even up into Los Angeles and out into Las Vegas for you. This is their report, tracking Hillary.
Started with Hillary. It makes landfall today. The wind and the rain in advance basically signaled some of the impacts, but it's yet to come the brunt of this storm. Winds in Cabo and the outer bands of Hillary were enough to create a 67-mile-an-hour wind, small island off of the Baja Peninsula. We also have reports from local authorities in Mexico that tragically a death has already come from the flooding. A family, and they were swept out, and a man from that group drowned. The strong storm that we saw yesterday is now weakening. The wind really can't be discounted, even though the categories go down. But this storm really will be known for its unprecedented moisture as it moves into Southern California. Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross joins us with new analysis. I think when I say unprecedented, what I'm really referring to, Brian, is when we see tropical systems come through, it's usually the remnants, the leftovers. They can hit in pockets. We can see impacts from those storms. But a large tropical storm like this, loaded up with moisture, in recent history has not been experienced by people in the southwestern U.S.
Yeah, there really is the only precedent goes back to 1939, as we've talked about many times, and that came from a kind of different direction, so even that wasn't exactly the same. Although there have been dying tropical systems or remnants of tropical systems affect Southern California, this is a more extreme version of that is the important thing. And I think one of the difficulties this morning, Amy, is that we're talking about, and you look at the satellite and you look and say, wow, that doesn't look like that incredible intense hurricane we saw yesterday. No, it doesn't. And it is indeed weakening. It's down to 80-mile-an-hour winds as of the advisory at 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern time, moving northwest at 21, picking up forward speed and the pressure coming up because the overall system is weakening. But there is a tremendous amount of energy in the system and moisture, and this is going to be the problem that we're going to talk a lot about here. So in Southern California, because you have all these mountains crisscrossing that part of the state, you have to have a lot of radars to get an idea of where it's raining because the mountains block the radar beams. So those are the radars that serve Southern California. And I want you to notice, just looking at this wide view, these yellows in here. This is where the heavier rain is falling over the mountains. We'll look at this in more detail. And then you see areas out here in the desert where we're not getting rain now. There's actually some dry air in the atmosphere coming up on this side of the storm. But that corridor over this very populated area here in LA and Riverside and so forth, that's getting the rain right now. Here when we look close up and I put the winds over top of it, you see which direction the winds are going. They're coming over the mountain and down the slope. So on the west side of the mountain, on where all these millions of people live right here, they're not getting it too bad in terms of the rain yet. It's mostly light rain on that side. But look where the yellows are. Notice this is the San Gabriel Mountains here, north of the Inland Empire, Riverside, that go on over to eventually become the Hollywood Hills. Notice that it's always on the mountains, or mostly on the mountains. Sometimes the yellows actually come down and we get good downpours on the west side, but it's that facing side to the tropical winds, that's where the heavier rain is going to be. On this side here, we can see these pockets of, notice it goes down in the valley here out in the desert. This is the Sonora Desert out there in California, where the Salton Sea is, in the north end up there you have Palm Springs. And the issue here is that the rain will fall on these mountains and then it has to go down the hill. And these are very sharp mountains, and that's the danger, is that water coming down the normally dry channels that are there to kind of funnel the rain that are not going to be able to handle this much rain. Up to the north we go. Over in here where you see this heavy rain, this is all Death Valley in here. This is Pahrump, you can't see the whole word there, but Pahrump in Nevada. But this is Death Valley down in here, where again that waterfall in the mountains is going to go down to the lowest point in North America, and so this is the flood threat there is extreme. And then we also see here in the mountains again, north of Riverside and on across Los Angeles. But notice that right now the moisture kind of cuts off as you get toward Ventura County, which is up here. As you go out I-10 toward Ventura County, or in Ventura County, you just get the cutoff of the moisture right now because of the terrain and where the storm is. So that's a little overview, but where the heaviest rain is going to fall, here's what the National Weather Service is forecasting: up the mountains, and notice, and over the San Gabriel Mountains, wrapping around greater Los Angeles and San Diego. So all that water on the mountain has to come downstream and down into the cities and down into the desert. This is the extreme danger. And then you have, with all the mountains that are up and surrounding Death Valley and then points north, again, very heavy rainfall up that way. The peak.
Okay, notice those areas where the yellow and orange are. Those are the bands that are and can become very dangerous, with tornadoes and huge, horrible thunderstorms and lightning. That's what we're seeing here. That's what people need to be aware of.
Peak rainfall in here in the 10-inch range, so that's where you see the 8 to 12. Lots of areas 5 to 8 inches. Here in Florida, we don't think of that as being a tremendous amount of rain, but when you get mountains that funnel the rain, that is incredible rain. And here you see the analysis where the heavier rain will fall. Notice that's the San Gabriel Mountains there. So on the mountains and on the foothills, and then coming downhill, that's the big danger, and that's going to happen today, tonight, and then it's going to be over. So it is a today and tonight thing. In terms of the wind, this is an analysis of how far out from the National Hurricane Center winds of 40 miles per hour or so might likely be felt. And you can see the cone is misleading because the wind's area is bigger. This doesn't mean that every area is going to get wind, but if that wind interacts with mountains, then you're going to get accelerating wind to maybe 60 to 70 miles per hour through the gaps. So think Santa Ana in terms of the wind here, but with this extreme rain threat on top of it. So the idea is we reduce down to a tropical storm here this afternoon, and then it just kind of dies out wind-wise moving north. So the highest winds, the farther south you are, the highest potential for wind, except for the gaps, of course, in the mountains. Okay, let's track it now in terms of the moisture. Here you see the winds coming in right now from the southeast, then going over the mountains, and then they're weaker up in here. And the model, by the way, is a little behind the National Hurricane Center position, so don't get hung up on that. The main thing is to look at the moisture here. And so here we go. Later today, this moisture is pounding into Southern California, and then by later today, the winds switch around, and on the coastal plain, then you get the moisture late tonight into early tomorrow, and then tomorrow the system moves on to the north and things improve by morning hours, I think, in Southern California from San Diego to Los Angeles, and then fine by afternoon.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way.
Okay, that's the story coming from Southern California. I wanted to bring that to you because this will give you overall view of what is happening in Southern California right now, because this storm has entered California proper right now, and the mountain areas are going to get hammered. Then you're going to see the downslope winds going into the populated areas of San Diego County and Los Angeles. On the eastern side, he talked about Death Valley and the Mojave Desert. They're going to see these heavy winds, 50, 60, maybe even 70 mile an hour winds. That's going to be where it's at. Then as this storm moves north, we're going to still see some activity tomorrow during the day, but then it's going to move north into Northern California, and then it's going to be over for the southern part of California. There may be even snow in the higher mountains. That remains to be seen on how cold it gets up in the further part of Northern California. But Southern California probably has been spared the brunt of this storm because it has deteriorated into a tropical storm. And we knew that was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. As News 8 in San Diego, the meteorologist there said, and this man that was actually from the National Weather Service in Florida, that weather system could have been bad had there been warmer water just off the coast of San Diego along the beaches. This could have been much more dangerous. I personally, when I lived there for 28 years, there were years when the water temperature was 80 degrees, bathtub water at the ocean. La Jolla Shores, I frequented La Jolla Shores. I frequented Moonlight Beach and Encinitas. I frequented Cardiff and Carlsbad, and even sometimes Oceanside. I was a surf maniac. Into my 30s and early 40s, I was a surf maniac. I was always at the beaches. Now, I did not see much beach time after a point in time in the late 90s because we were working so many hours. We were short-handed. But that has nothing to do with what we're doing today. Everybody in Southern California, all the way out to the desert where Isaiah's granny is, out in Victorville, out in Death Valley, you all need to be worried about a possible evacuation if the water rises. If you see that your home might be engulfed by rising waters, leave before it gets bad. Get the heck out of Dodge. Don't wait until traffic is snarled. Your vehicle might be in hot water, literally. The water swirling underneath your tires, and you could be swept off the roadway into a nearby creek and down into the water. Don't wait for that to happen. If you think that your home might be in an area where you might be in danger, get out now. Get out now. That's why we're on the air right now. I'm just warning you all. We've talked about emergency preparedness plans, like I stated before. A lot of people have not listened to me. Now these meteorologists are talking about it, and still, people still are not writing emergency preparedness plans. It doesn't have to be for an earthquake. It could be for a tropical storm or a hurricane. It could be for any reason. You need to have a preparedness plan covering every kind of disaster or emergency that might confront you in the area where you live. If you need information about preparedness plans, go to our website, which is in the program description below this video today. Go to our website into the files sharing area. There's plenty of information there for you. All kinds of information that I've compiled over a lot of years. That's why I gave it to you. I wanted to make sure you had the information in front of you. I didn't want to wait. Yes, over the years on our last channel and this, we've talked about preparedness plans. We've talked about emergency preparedness kits. We've talked about water storage. We've talked about all kinds of things. Anytime you see in the title of our program, Emergency Preparedness, that is one of the things that you need to look at. You need to watch those programs, go back and watch those programs. Okay? Those programs contain all kinds of vital information that everyone needs. And I purposely do those programs just because you need it. I don't care whether you live up in the Pacific Northwest and have to worry about a Cascadia megathrust earthquake. I don't care whether you live in southwestern Canada and have fires. Southern California has fires as well. You can have a shooting. You can have a huge fire over in Texas or Louisiana like we've seen. We've covered that. Anything can happen anywhere. You need to be prepared no matter what. It's high time that people start doing what is necessary for your family and yourselves. Isaiah's granny is a wonderful lady. She says she's ready, and I'm so thankful for that. She and her family mean more to her than anything else. That is wonderful. I hope everyone else is doing that. Our buddy Surgery that you've seen here in this chat, he's also ready. A lot of people that I have chosen as moderators on this program are ready, and they're willing to help teach you the things that you need to know so that you can also be ready. I value those mods. They are my best friends. They are very close friends whom I love very much. All of you mean a lot to me. I love each and every one of you. Please, folks, take my admonition for safety and get prepared now. Don't wait for something else to happen, because it will. I promise you it will. Politically speaking, we're in a huge time of trouble and turmoil. And we're about to see our worlds here in the United States and overseas, in Europe, in England, in Iceland, everywhere, be inundated with stupidity. And it's going to challenge everybody's wherewithal to make sure that they're prepared and ready for whatever happens. Things are going to be tipped upside down, literally. I'm glad I've had this opportunity to speak to you. If anything else happens tonight or this afternoon, we will be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. That you can take to the bank. I care. Isaiah's granny put up a my name and a heart. I love her very, very much. She knows it. Surgery knows I love him. All of you know I love you. I've proven over time. I'm telling you now, I'm here for you. I've embedded information in our website. I've embedded information here on this channel. I'm hoping that everyone that hears this program will take advantage of it. That's what I pray. I pray that everybody will be able to take advantage of it. I worry about that. I worry about that in the worst way. I shouldn't have to worry about it, but I do because I care. Surgery says it's what it's all about, and I absolutely agree. Guys, like I said, if anything else happens today, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Hawaii. Hawaii is getting a lot of help that they have needed. More things have come into Hawaii, and they are getting more and more help, and I'm very grateful about that. If you want to help the people in Hawaii, go back over the last week. On our programs, we have given you websites and places you can donate money to. Please do that. They are hurting. They are hurting a great deal. And I got some information that is very troubling about Lahaina today. I hope it's wrong. I'm not going to put it out because I've not yet vetted the information, but when I do vet it, I will share it with you. And it's not good if it's correct. But they are getting the help that they need. And I'm hoping and praying that those people that live there know what they're doing. I hope they're prepared. I hope and pray that everybody's prepared. Folks, the death toll over in Maui is now risen to over 116 bodies that have been found, and more are going to be found in the coming days. There are a lot of children. There are a lot of children that were left home by their working parents, and they did not have the opportunity to evacuate. So in the coming days, we're going to find a lot of children that succumbed to this fire in Maui. God bless those families. I know they are hurting. I know the hurt that they're feeling. I believe most of us do. God bless those wonderful people with everything that they need. May God's Spirit protect them and be with them. They're going to need it in the coming days. Folks, I care, or I would not even be here. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a better tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be back on the air today if something else happens that we need to be talking about. Take it easy. Read the scriptures. Today is Sunday. It's too bad that people wait till Sunday to study the gospel of Jesus Christ. Everybody should be doing it every day. I do. And I know people that are here that monitor this program and watch us and listen to us that also do that. I hope and pray more and more people will do that. It will bless your life. I promise you that. Until then, guys, have a great day and a better tomorrow. I love you so, so very much. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody.